السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد. My respected brothers and sisters in Islam, most speakers, whether it's a part of an event in the MSA or in the masjid or any type of lecture or talk or gathering, most speakers, they'll start off with obviously the greetings, a small introduction. Many speakers, they may start off with a joke, a small brief joke to break the ice, as they say, cut the thickness of the air, get the people involved, a story, the train, my car, my son, maybe even introducing themselves even more, things like this. This is correct, it's conventional, especially in the college. A lot of times people, they come to speak and they give a little comedy and a little humor in the beginning. That's first and foremost. Then most people, they have like a little mini bridge between that intro and between the main topic, in which they merge the two together. And then they normally give 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour of the main topic, okay? A small, brief outro, quote unquote, in which they leave the topic, perhaps with more humor, more comedy, all right? And then they open up the floor for comments, questions on the topic, off the topic, anything controversial, etc., or maybe even a discussion. Is this not the case? We can agree on this or not, guys? So what I'm going to do here, obviously, or not obviously, but perhaps, as you seen me, and just me, as Abdullah would tell you, we're going to do things a little unorthodox, a little non-conventional, inshallah. We're going to turn it backwards, inshallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're not going to start off with a joke or a story. I'm not going to tell you about this, my cat, my son, so on and so forth. Rather, we're going to start off with having a discussion. Instead of me lecturing you and talking to you about this topic, crisis of faith, dealing with doubts with Mufti Muhammad Munir, let's start off, inshallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, with hearing from you. Your concerns, your questions. Perhaps I may learn something from you today, something that you will benefit me with regards to the topic. And bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, maybe we can all share things, and perhaps we can answer, really pertinent questions and tackle some critical issues on a topic that's very important. Okay? Trust me, I could sit here, give you a long lecture, many things I've prepared, many things I haven't had prepared, I could talk to you about. But I think it's going to be more beneficial for us all, for us to open up the floor in the beginning and to hear from you. And a lot of times when you do things the same way every single time, no doubt it becomes boring and monotonous. Every single time. Hello, I'm such and such, this is my talk, this is my slides, do you have any questions? So we want to do things a bit unconventional. What you guys think about this? Sound better or the normal way? Which one? Sounds better. Okay, inshallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, I will say, and as I said, Brother Abdullah, he can tell you, he's been to a few of my talks and lectures. Maybe some of you have seen some of my talks and lectures before. We've done many in New York City, outside of New York City. I don't have any problem or any uncomfortability with questions. When I say you can ask a question, you can ask any question that you want. On the topic, off the topic, personal questions. And I would say, just to be honest and frank, not to flatter myself or to boast or to brag, but there aren't too many speakers that I've seen that give you so much transparency. Me personally, maybe it's because of my limited knowledge. But the speakers that I've seen, my colleagues, people older than me, younger than me, not too many of them really open up the floodgates, as they say. Questions on the topic, please. Or that's an embarrassing question, or that's a controversial question, or that's an uncomfortable question, or I'm not qualified to ask a question. Is this not the case, Abdullah? Yes. Am I making this up? Honestly, if you feel differently, please tell me. We can agree on this? So when we say any questions, we mean what? Any questions. Everybody clear on this? I've seen you several times before, Akhi. What's your name again? Luqman. Alhamdulillah. Allah bless you. Masjid Taqwa, okay, all right.
So I see that a lot of your classes.
Okay.
I noticed from the first one I seen that when you give your koba, you normally have a sword with you. So I want to know.
Excellent. Excellent question.
What made you do that?
Excellent question. Before we move on, we have, as I said, we have transparency. I can be open and frank and talk. Everybody clear on this? Yes, can I or can I? Okay, type. Why, Mufti, do you have a sword with you in the khutbah? There are several reasons. There are Islamic reasons, and there are personal Mufti reasons. Okay, everybody with me? We all know, I'm sure if we're all Muslim here, if we have some people that are not Muslim, a khutbah, the word khutbah, literally means a congregational sermon. A congregational sermon. For the Muslims who do know what the word khutbah is, still going to be a benefit for you. The word khutbah means a congregational sermon. And the word khutbah does not mean, nor is it specific to Friday, as many Muslims may think. A khutbah can be on the Eid. A khutbah can be any other time or place. Everybody understand this? So it's a public address in which it's a congregation and it's a sermon. So therefore, we as Muslims, when we do a quote-unquote a khutbah, then there are certain rules. There are certain laws. There are certain etiquettes and manners. There are do's and there are don'ts. There are what? There are do's and there are don'ts. From what the khatib, the speaker, what he's wearing, to what he says, to how long he speaks, to what he does, how he interacts with the people, there are rules. And these rules are based off of 3 things, or perhaps 4 things. The first one is the textual information of the Quran al-Kareem. The second is the Sunnat al-Nabi al-Kareem alayhi salatu wasalam, what he did physically, what he taught, how he expounded on the inexplicit injunctions of the Quran. Thirdly is that which we call al-Ijma', the consensus, what all of the people of knowledge agree upon unanimously, that you must do this in a khutbah. You must say this in a khutbah. You cannot say that in a khutbah. And then we have the different schools of thought and ways of understanding what you should and shouldn't do in a khutbah. So therefore, the khatib should be someone who's learned. He should be dressed presentably. He should be clean. He should be on time. He should be neat. He should be strong in his knowledge, his words. He should address the people. He should remind the people of the rights of Allah upon them. And there are certain things that he should wear, whether it's a color or how he covers himself. The head should never be uncovered. And from the recommended acts of the khatib, of the one giving the sermon, something that the Prophet did is that he had what we call in Arabic an asa, a staff, a cane, a walking stick. And there are many reasons behind this, many wisdoms. The first of them is that a staff, we didn't get to the sword yet, but it's a staff, there lies no doubt, is going to give a person a sense of awe and respect. He has a staff with him. He's serious. Is this not the case? Is this not the case? We can agree on this. Someone has a long staff. He's talking. He's holding on to the staff. Gives him respect and awe. And this is something that is an objective of the khatib. The people are to listen to his words, and they are to respect him and have awe of him, because he is the doctor of their hearts. He's the what? He's the doctor of their hearts. Everybody understand this? Now this is what one narration states. There are other narrations that state that the Prophet ﷺ, a young man from the Ansar, the Sahaba, the companions of Medina, when he gave the khutbah, sometimes he would have a staff, sometimes he would lean and rest upon a stump of a tree, and then they made for him a mimbar, a pulpit, not like this, but a pulpit that has steps, approximately 3 steps. Everybody understand this? And there are other narrations that state that the Prophet ﷺ, sometimes he had a bow, a long bow. Another narration state that sometimes he had a sword with him. The narrations that talk about bows and swords, they're not sahih. The only sahih narration is a wooden staff. Why do I have a cane, even though the narration isn't sahih? First and foremost, is the sword, to me, in my humble opinion, is extremely symbolic. It's extremely symbolic. It represents a lot for myself and also for what I believe in, what I represent. Is that I'm coming to speak to you, I'm not joking, I'm not laughing, I have a sword in my hand. It's a real sword. Everybody understand this? How was the sword made? The quality of the sword, the beauty of the sword, the elegance of the sword. I also use it as a staff. If you notice, I'll lean on it to support myself. And it may look easy when you're giving a khutbah, but trust me, I've done 1 million khutbahs, literally, and 1 million masjids, my short life. Giving a khutbah is not that easy. It takes a great deal of focus, concentration, let alone skill and talent. But the physical efforts that it takes for you to speak, to remain focused. I may wake up, I have a migraine, I may be tired, I'm stressed out, I have personal problems, my son, my family, this and that. I may have sins that I'm making, and it's my responsibility to get on that minbar and say, ittaqullah, fear Allah. That takes a lot if you think about it. Just think about that. If someone says, oh, you have to do the khutbah in the MSA now, Look at the clock. Abdullah. طيب. No, keep your eyes off the clock. No shot clock. طيب. خير inshallah. طيب. So therefore, he says, I don't feel like giving the khutbah today. Or a person may say, I'm not that righteous. I'm not that righteous to give the khutbah. How can I tell the people to fear Allah? Naam. But if you're the khatib, you have a responsibility to do what? To do it. Whether you like it or not, how you feel or how you don't feel. So the sword, to me, it gets me in a serious mood. It gets me to a serious mode. And then the sword, to me, I didn't say Islam, I said to me, it's symbolic for my style of speaking and teaching. Everybody understand this? And I don't say this arrogantly, Luqman, but that's how I feel, is that the knowledge that I'm presenting to you, how I present it to you, how I speak, how I talk, to me is like a sword. It's sharp. It's swift. It's going to cut. It's nothing blunt. It's nothing dull. I'm not going to get in the minbar and talk to you for half an hour and bore you. Everybody understand this? I'm not coming to give you a speech. I'm coming to shake you up, to get you to understand, to realize taqwa of Allah, the hereafter, the grave. Everybody understand this, Abdullah? So me, myself, this is the symbolicism of it to me. Let alone my own fondness of different types of martial arts and martial sciences. So therefore, to me, the tongue and the sword are hand in hand. The pen and the sword are hand in hand. What I write down, how accurate it is, how swift, how sharp it is, to me, is symbolic of a sword. So this is a personal preference of myself. Not every single khutbah I have a sword, but sometimes. This is why I feel why I should carry it. This is what it makes me feel. I'm not bringing it to show off, to show anybody, to please anybody. Many things that I do as a person, whether it's how I dress or this and that, I do because it makes me feel happy. And it makes me feel good, alhamdulillah. And it's just that simple. I'm not here to please anyone. If someone is pleased, alhamdulillah. If they're displeased, I'm so sorry. I can only do what I feel is a benefit for myself and to carry out my responsibilities as the khatib. So that's why I carry the sword. And there's some other people of knowledge that may carry a sword while giving a sermon based off of those hadiths. But that's not the reason why I do it. What's important is that the khatib has something in his hand to support himself, to lean on, let alone the other benefits. Make sense? He may be a little, maybe this guy's a little bit, but I was honest. And I said that we're going to use transparency. Wallahu a'lam. Clear, Luqman? Alhamdulillah. Fadal. You can't ask questions, Abdullah. You come to the masjid, you see me. This is their opportunity.
This question I think related is good to this topic.
Fadal. It did say that, right?
It's a question that I think a lot of Muslims have, especially youth in America, what's going on in the world. And the question is, where is Allah in terms of what's going on with all the tragedies? The question is, why isn't there help?
طيب, خير inshallah. We say first and foremost, very, very beneficial principle, and generally answering this question. I'll get to the specifics as well. And that is anything that you can think about Islam or the world today, what's happening, what has happened, what is going to happen, anything that's going on in your life or someone else's life, it is mentioned in the Quran al-Kareem. Explicitly or inexplicitly. Anything that you can think about. Murder, crime, poverty, life, death, marriage, divorce, scandal, lies. Everybody understand this? Rape. Any crime or atrocity, vice or virtue that you can think about is in the Quran. Allah talks about Yusuf, he was put in jail. He talks about Yusuf, it was a scandal. She accused him of something. Allah talks about dreams. Allah talks about poverty. This is just one surah now, one chapter. Everybody understand this? Allah talks about injustice, political injustice. He was put in jail unjustly. He didn't do anything. He was innocent boy. She was lustful. She attacked him. He was innocent, and they knew he was innocent. Then she tried to set him up again, the wife of the Aziz, with the sitting place. And she told him to go out and let all the women see how handsome and amazingly gorgeous he was. And then they put him in jail again. So what's happening in the world today in America, South America, the Middle East, the Far East, the continent of Africa, so on and so on and so forth? Anything that you can think about is mentioned in the Quran. Everybody understand this? Is everybody clear on this? So therefore, people being killed, people dying, people starving, people possessing the majority of the wealth, not sharing wealth. Everybody understand this is all mentioned where? In the Quran. Directly or indirectly. So therefore, before we even get into the answer to this question, where is Allah? Where is God when this person is dying? Where is God when these people are starving? Where is God when this happens? When this little girl and this little boy, where was God? We say all of these different questions, doubts, and scenarios are mentioned. And this shows you the strength of Islam and the beauty of Islam. Is that nothing is hidden. There's no sugarcoating. Allah tells about people being killed. If Allah tells you about people being killed, people being oppressed, people being persecuted, then that obviously shows you that Allah was aware of what was going on. And He allowed it, and He decreed it for a reason. You take a brief basic surah from the Quran, Surah Al-Buruj. What does Allah tell us in this surah? إِنَّ الَّذِينَ فَتَنُوا الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ. Those who put the believers through trials and tribulations, they burnt them alive. They killed them, they murdered them for no other reason except that they were what? Believers. So if Allah is telling us about the story, then obviously He what? He knows about the story. So there isn't an option, there's no option of thinking that Allah didn't know. God doesn't know. God is unaware. We've excluded that based off of our faith. The second question is, why did He allow it to happen? Why did He permit such crimes, such atrocities? Why are people starving and dying, sick, disease ridden? Why? First rule is another verse in the Quran. لا يسأل عما يفعل وهم يسألون. Allah is never questioned about what He does. Rather, they are questioned about what they do. So how do you look at a cup, a glass, half empty or half full? What is your perception? Everyone has sight, but how do you perceive it? You look at it as, I can question what God does. This doesn't make sense. This is unfair. This isn't right. This is unjust. This is tyrannical. And another person looks at it, I am a slave of God. I was created. I was made by God. The ability to think critically, to criticize, to find fault, to doubt was given to me and endowed to me by who? Based off of those who believe in God. If a person is an atheist, then that's a different story. That's a different story. But those who have some type of faith in spirituality, they're going to realize that they were created. And my ability to think, to find a problem, was only given to me by God. So it doesn't make any sense for me to take the ability that I once didn't have, I once didn't exist, the darkness of the womb, the darkness of, and the list goes on of darkness Allah tells us about, and then contest with Allah, God. And once again, this is mentioned in the Quran another time. Allah tells us about the creation of man. He's made from base fluid, the fluid of a man and the fluid of a woman. In other words, something that you may be too shy to talk about, something you may be too embarrassed to talk about, something that has no value to you, something that's looked down upon, dirty, filthy, but that's the origin of your creation. Allah says, فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. And then, behold, man comes from this fluid, he comes from a child, he doesn't know anything, he can't walk, talk, and then he becomes an adversary to God, an enemy. Why, how? Intellectually, if you believe in God and that you have been created, that does not make sense intellectually. If you're an atheist, that's a different story. That's a different argument that we have with you. But if you believe that God created you, you believe that Allah created you, that doesn't even make sense. Everybody understand this? Your teacher who taught you everything from day one. You got to college, you were in a terrible shape, you didn't know anything of life, of knowledge, and He gave you everything that you have. He nurtured you. And then the day of graduation, you question your teacher and refute your teacher and rebuke your teacher and said he's ignorant and oppressive and wrong, and you gave me this grade and this student. Would that be accepted here in this college? Yes or no? Guys, yes or no? Would that be accepted? Of course not. So therefore, there has to be another solution. There has to be another answer. And that answer is, from what we believe, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name is Al-Hakim. He is Al-Hakamul Adl. He is the judge. He is the most wise, the most knowledgeable, the most knowing, the all-knowing, the all-aware. He knows everything before it happens. He knows what would happen if it happened, even though it didn't happen. So if He allows someone to die, if He allows someone to starve, if He allows someone to be oppressed, it's not that He's unaware of it. It's not that He loves it and He's pleased with it. However, He decrees things for ultimate wisdoms. قُلْ فَلِلَّهِ الْحُجَّةُ الْبَالِغَةُ. Say, O Muhammad, Allah says in the Quran, to Allah is the ultimate argument, the ultimate hujjah. He does what He wants to do. وَلَوْ شَاءَ, and if Allah had willed, لَهَدَاكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. He would guide all of you. If Allah had willed, He would feed all of you. If Allah had willed, no one will be oppressed. But that is not what He willed. That is not the necessary result of his wisdom, his hikmah. And the clear proof for this is the question that you ask. Bad things happen. Where was God? How do you know this is a bad act? Unless there's something that's opposite in contrast to that bad act of positive acts. How do you know these people are starving unless there are people that are what? People that are doing what? Eating. How do you know this is an act of injustice unless there's what? Justice. So therefore, just as you've seen the bad in the world, there's also what? Good in the world. And the proof of that is the question itself. So therefore, everything isn't bad. Everyone isn't starving. Everyone isn't dying. Many people, a lot of people, yes. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves His slaves more than you do. Allah the Sublime, the Exalted, there's no one more jealous than Allah. As the Prophet ﷺ said, no one is more jealous than Allah. No one has more care and concern than Allah. Yet and still, He decreed things for wisdoms that you don't understand. Things that you can't grasp. Things that do not reach your mind. You may think it's right. It's not right. It's not right. Look at it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what you do not know. So therefore, what is your position as a servant? A servant questioning his master, doubting his master, challenging his master, or a servant obeying his master and saying, I may not understand. It may not make total sense to me. I may have sensitive feelings about what's going on, but I know there's a reason behind it. I hear and I obey. That is the bottom line. Any intellectual way you can answer, that's the bottom line. So therefore, this is one way of answering that question. And I would say that the answer has to be tailor-made. It's not one size fits all. Is that if you're talking to someone who's a Christian, it's one thing. Someone who's an atheist, agnostic, someone who has this type of faith, this type of spirituality, someone who's intellectual, someone who's a scholar, a warrior, a businessman, speak to the people on their level of understanding. And this is something that we find in abundance in the Quran, as I previously said. So this is what I was saying briefly. Wallahu alam. Yes.
So, being students at a college, at a public college, and we're getting all this knowledge and information, is it permissible or is it haram for sisters to go up on stage and to give speeches about knowledgeable topics?
Tayyib. Question says, due to the fact that we're studying in college, we're getting all this information, data, knowledge, etc., is it permissible, is it impermissible for a woman to get on stage and speak on topics of Islam? Your question? This is something that we were asked Friday night at York College, and the answer to the question is going to be similar, but we'll give you a bit more detail, inshallah. A few more details, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is, if a woman is living in an Islamic environment with the proper Islamic etiquettes, the do's and the don'ts of hijab, of shyness, her wali, her father, her family, married, not married, her gaze, speaking to men, men speaking to her, etc., then me, myself, I wouldn't say a woman should get on stage and speak in front of everybody, men and women. I wouldn't advise with it. But I wouldn't say it's haram. If a woman was covered properly, the proper Islamic hijab, and I'm not saying this to offend anyone, okay, but the question, it's my responsibility to answer the question, the proper Islamic hijab, not something that's tight, not something that was perfumed, not something that's showing skin, not something in which a sister is wearing makeup, and a sister has this painted, and her feet, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but it's my responsibility to answer the question. The proper Islamic hijab. Just like brothers, I'm not just bashing the sisters, brothers also have a proper Islamic hijab. Everybody understand this? You have on skin-tight jeans, and you want your sister or your mother or your daughter or your wife to wear a long robe. That doesn't make sense. And I can only speak based off of myself. How am I dressed? My head is covered. I have a full thobe. It's not beneath my ankles. I have on a what? Proper Islamic hijab. Is it haram for men to wear pants? We're not saying that. We're not saying that. But there are levels. It doesn't make sense for me to walk down the street like this, and my wife has on jeans and a shirt, and her hair is out blowing in the wind. Does that look right, Aki? With the Under Armour hat. That don't look right, do it. Be honest. Don't look right. And the same applies. Many brothers. His brother has on a tight shirt, muscle shirt, his beard. Maybe he has a beard. It's a little, shaved up. Fresh haircut, fade, tight pants or short pants, Under Armour shorts, whatever he's wearing, stylish. And his wife is covered up from head to toe. That doesn't make sense. There's a sore thumb sticking out. We agree on this? So men have a dress code and women have a what? Dress code. And there are levels of Islamic dress code. There are things that are preferable and there are things that are mandatory. There are things that are disliked and there are things that are clearly haram and there are things that are major sins. Everybody understand this? There's what? There are levels of hijab for men and for women. Everybody understand this? A man who trims his beard is not like a man who shaves his face, even though they're both unlawful. Everybody understand this? A man who's not wearing a thobe is not like someone who has on tight pants. A man who has on tight pants is not like one who has on tennis shorts. A sister who doesn't have a full hijab on is not like the one who has no khimar on. A sister that has a little bit of lip gloss on is not like a sister that has a cake full of makeup. A face is full of makeup. There are levels. So therefore, a sister that's proper covertly, Islamically, according to the Sunnah, and she was in the class, and she gave a talk to the people in the class about Islam, she gave some type of knowledge or some type of benefit, I wouldn't say that's haram. And that is because a woman's voice is not an awrah. A woman's voice in Islam is not considered to be awrah. There are some who do say that it's awrah, but that opinion is weak. It's a weak opinion. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the companions, when you ask them for something, فَاسْأَلُوهُنَّ مِنْ وَرَاءِ hijab. Ask them from behind a curtain. So Allah clearly commands the companions to do what? Ask. And if they ask, obviously the women are going to do what? Going to speak back verbally. فَلَا تَخْضَعْنَ بِالْقَوْلِ فَيَطْمَعَ الَّذِي فِي قَلْبِهِ مَرَضٍ وَقُلْنَ قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا. Allah says, do not. Allah says, يَا نِسَاءَ النَّبِيِّ, O women of the Prophet, لَسْتُنَّ كَأَحَدٍ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. He says, you're not like anyone. You're unique women. And he addresses them and he tells them, do not soften your voice. He says, do not perfume your voice, lest a man who has a sickness in his heart will have some bad intention. Allah then says, وَقُلْنَا قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا. But say make an honorable statement. Speak honorably. So the verse prohibits and encourages. The prohibition is to soften the voice, to beautify the voice. A woman who's going to give a speech, she's not going to give a speech like she's going to talk to her husband, her beloved husband, or even her son, or when she's among her girlfriends, laughing and joking. It's a certain way that she's going to have to talk. And then the verse also says, وَقُلْنَا. The verse says, and say. So that proves is that when a woman does want to speak, there's nothing wrong with her speaking as long as it's done what? In an honorable manner. In other words, don't think that the Quran tells you to be rude, as some Muslim women may think. Just because you cannot perfume your voice doesn't mean that you can be what? Rude. And many women, unfortunately, when they learn about Islam, they become guided, they cover up, then they think it's the sunnah to be rude. They walk by someone and they don't speak to them. They don't give salams. Sister, I'm lost. I can't talk to you. You call someone's house, Assalamu alaikum, is Luqman there? No, he's not here, and hang up the phone. That's not the sunnah. You don't have to have a 10-minute conversation laughing and joking with me. He's not here, can I take a message? Thank you. I'll tell him Mufti call, that's it. So there's a balance in Islam. So if a sister was covered properly, and she had the proper knowledge, the proper ilm, and she gave some type of benefit to the people, I would say that's permissible. And there are many of the people of knowledge who have given this fatwa. It's just not from my pocket. Everybody understand this? That's first and foremost. Now, the next scenario is a sister who isn't covered properly, talking in front of men. That's a different story. But if she's covered improperly, how did she get into the college? Did she come to the college with full abaya? Or did she come what? Dressed what? Same way. So it doesn't make sense for a person to say, no, you can't do this. No, this is haram. No. But yet still, the person is still going to the college and the sister is still what? In the college. Everybody understand this? And many people, they get confused. They go into a haram atmosphere, a haram environment, and when there are specific selected issues, now it's an Islamic state, it's haram, you can't do this. But your teacher's a woman, you're sitting next to a woman, your study partner's a woman. Why are you so strict and harsh in this issue and so totally stonewashed in another issue? That doesn't make any sense. And it's better, as I said on Friday, not saying it's permissible, but it's better for a woman to give some type of speech on Islam instead of people just talking about nothingness, nonsense, doubts about Islam. Make sense? So therefore, I would say it has to be detail. It has to be a detail. Sister covered properly, proper knowledge, she wants to give a benefit, I wouldn't say it's haram. Sister not covered properly, different story. People are already free mixing in the school, laughing and joking. You say hi to Tom, to Dick, to Martin, to Rick, to Ron, to Abdullah, to Ahmed. she's already talking in front of people. It's not like she's walking with a hijab on anyway. You understand what I'm saying? So I think it depends on the situation and it depends on the scenario. Hopefully the answer is clear. Inshallah. Clear? You don't have to agree, but I just want it to be what? Clear. Being convinced is one thing. Understanding is what? Something different. I'm sure you guys know that here in college. Wallahu alam. Fadal akhi. No problem.
When you say this it's not allowed for us to use fully covered. When you say fully, do you mean like niqab or just
Right. Question says, further follow-up question. When you say fully covered, do you mean niqab or just, we say yes and no. Yes and no. And that is, what does a Muslim woman have to cover in front of a man who isn't her mahram? Pay close attention, guys. I never said outside of the house, but I said mahram. Because you may be in your house and there's someone who isn't your mahram. A man who's not your father, not your husband, he's not your son, he's not your husband's son, he's not your uncle, your stepson, etc. The maharim, the men that can never ever marry a woman. In front of this man who isn't a mahram, what do you have to cover up? Do you have to cover everything from top to toe? Or Mas'ud, just the entire body with exceptions to the hands and to the face? Everybody understand the two scenarios? The first scenario is that a Muslim woman must cover everything. And every part of a Muslim woman is her awra in front of a man who isn't a mahram. And these scholars, they say especially what? A woman's face. And especially a woman's hands, which is considered to be the center of a woman's beauty. This is one understanding and one school of thought. And the second understanding, the second school of thought is that a Muslim woman is allowed to show her hands and to show her face to a man who isn't a mahram, but with conditions. With conditions, not absolutely. And the first condition is, they say she can only expose her hands and face if she lives in a pure society. As far as if she lives in a wicked, foul society, then it says it's not obligatory for her to cover her hands and her face. The second condition, they say, is that a woman cannot be a lady of outlandish beauty, outstanding beauty, exceptional beauty. In other words, she's so pretty, so beautiful, is that when she walks down the street, people have a hard time not looking at her. MashaAllah, tabarakallah, it's hard, it's difficult. Wow, she's amazing, she's beautiful. Everybody understand this? They say that it's unlawful for her to put men through trials and tribulations, infatuations, and also it may be an infatuation for herself. She may become prideful and conceited. It may go to her head, wow, I'm so beautiful, look what the people say, look how the people react around me. Everybody understand this? And the third condition of stipulation is they say a woman cannot expose her face if she wears makeup, if she wears adornment, lipstick, blood, whatever you want to call it, the types of makeup, rings on the fingers, types of piercings on the face, eyeliner, kuhul, Maybelline, whatever it is. They say these things are not allowed to be worn out the house. So let's stop before we go any further. Based off of those three conditions, do you find that this applies to America or not? Just hypothetically, is America a pure society? How many Muslim sisters uncover their hands and face and they wear what? Makeup, fingernail polish, rings, all types of gold, hidden. Let alone the fact if a sister was blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have exceptional beauty. The point I'm trying to get to is that there lies no doubt, even if you take the second madhab, that it's not obligatory, there are times in which it's what? Totally obligatory according to all of the ulama. Everybody understand this? Because most women, this is what they say, or brothers. No, it's not haram, brother. It's difference of opinion. You don't have to cover her hands and her face. For argument's sake, but she has on makeup now. She's a fitna for people. It's a fitna for her. All of those ulama who said that it's permissible, they also say it's what? What are they going to say now? It's going to say it's haram for her to uncover her hands and her face because those three stipulations are not what? Met. Everybody clear on this? So therefore, some of the people of knowledge, they may say that's what's meant by hijab. Everything is covered from a woman, with exceptions to her eyes. And other ulama, they may say even the eyes. And some of the people of knowledge, they say if her face is exposed, her hair is covered, she has on loose clothes, it's not tight, it's not perfumed, It's nothing wrong with her hands and her face being in public view, and she could be the one that's giving the talk. So therefore, there lies no doubt that which is best, and then that which is permissible, according to that view. So what I mean by fully covered is going to go back to what I feel about the hijab issue. Is niqab obligatory? Is covering the face obligatory? Covering the hands mandatory? Or something that's preferable and recommended? There lies no doubt in 2016 in New York City for a sister to wear an overgarment, a full overgarment. The overgarment is not a flashy, blinding color. She doesn't have an ounce of makeup on, perfume, things like this. She has on shoes that don't make a bunch of noise when she walks and grabs everyone's attention. In my humble opinion, that is a major accomplishment, especially in college. When people make fun of people, look down upon people, fashion, style, social media, that's a major accomplishment. And there lies no doubt when a woman walks down the street like that, walks down the hall, even if her hands and her face out, there's going to be an amount of respect that she's going to get. And they're going to look at her as a religious woman. Everybody understand this? And the next level is the khimar. It's some type of religion. But it's not the same as a woman who has fully covered, even if her hands and her face are out. But it lies no doubt that which is best, that which is most preferable, is for everything to be covered. It's for what? It's for everything to be covered. Now, the issue of what has to be covered, what's obligatory, what's mandatory, obviously this isn't the topic of my discussion. This is something that has to be dealt with in detail. There are proofs and evidences on both sides. It's a very long technical debate on what is mandatory to be covered from the Muslim woman's body. Everything or everything except for the hands and the face. This is in brief. I didn't give you my personal opinion, my personal reservation, what I feel on it. This is just the two sides and the two arguments. Wallahu alam. Hopefully that's clear. Okay, khair, inshallah. So, I'm sorry that we didn't have more time. Hopefully, by the next subhanahu wa ta'ala, maybe next time. I don't know if there'll be a next time. Abdullah may not invite me back. If he does, I hope, inshallah, that we will have more time to speak, to discuss, and I can learn more things from you, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thank you for your attention and your participation. Jazakumullah khairan. Yes.
Do you have time after? Maybe some people have some personal questions they're going to ask you after the slide.
What are you talking about, like right now?
Like, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So if anybody has a personal question you want to ask him, he said that he will take your question.
I'm your guest. I don't leave until you give me permission.